Entitled parents get destroyed by their own kids. My parents just laughed when they told me they spent my entire $70,000 college fund on my brother. Years later, they lost everything and came to me, begging for money. I got the last laugh, and you will not believe what I told them. Hey, welcome back to the channel, where we get into the wildest stories of family drama and deliciously sweet karma. Today, we've got some stories that are on a whole other level. We're talking about kids who got pushed to their absolute breaking point by entitled, manipulative parents, and finally decided to push back hard. These aren't just little family spats. These are calculated takedowns that end in absolute chaos. So you might want to get comfortable because this is about to get savage. Let's do this. Story 1. The College Fund Heist. So, our first story is about a woman who found out the hard way that the people who are supposed to have your back are sometimes the first to stab you in it. Ever since she was a little girl, her parents promised her one thing: a college fund was waiting. They told her, "Just focus on your grades, get into a great school, we'll handle the rest." No student loans, no money stress. And this wasn't just their money. It was a $70,000 inheritance left specifically for her education by her late grandmother, but her parents had control of the account. And she held up her end of the bargain. She worked her butt off, got incredible grades, and was accepted into her dream university with a partial scholarship. Everything was perfect. But when that first tuition bill was due, the whole dream came crashing down. She went to her parents, ready to finally use the fund, and was met with them just staring at the floor. Her dad eventually mumbled that they needed to talk. He sat her down and admitted that her older brother, who had already flunked out of college once because he cared more about partying than passing, needed the money. So they just gave it to him. All $70,000. Every last cent. Gone. When she just stared at them, speechless, her mother actually had the nerve to say, "Don't be so dramatic. You can always take out loans. It's what normal people do." Her sister, who was there too, just shrugged and said, "Mom and Dad said it was fine. Why are you making this a big deal?" They treated her entire future like it was a minor inconvenience. They didn't just steal her money, they stole her trust and handed her dreams to her irresponsible brother without a single hesitation. Betrayed and completely devastated, she did the only thing she could. She took out a mountain of student loans. She worked 3 jobs while going to school full-time. She lived off instant noodles and barely slept, all while her brother was out there living his best life, totally clueless about the mess he'd helped create. She graduated with crippling debt and a deep, burning resentment. She cut them all off, moved clear across the country, and started building a life for herself. It was tough, but she was determined. Eventually, she met her husband, who happened to come from a wealthy family, and as an engagement gift, he paid off every single penny of her student loans. For the first time in nearly a decade, she was finally free. Years passed. She was successful, happy, and completely debt-free. And then, one day, she gets a phone call. It's her mother, her voice all shaky and desperate. Turns out her parents had made one bad financial decision after another, and the cherry on top? Her brother got into major legal trouble and needed a massive bailout. They were flat broke and about to lose their house. And this is where it all comes full circle. Her mother, after this long, teary sob story, finally gets to the point. "Honey, we need your help. We need money." The original poster said she just let that hang in the air for a second before she answered. "I don't owe you anything," she said, her voice perfectly calm. Her mother just sputtered. "How can you say that? After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done for me?" she repeated. "You stole my college fund. You told me my future didn't matter. You told me to just take out loans and figure it out on my own. So that's my advice to you. Why don't you go take out some loans? Then she delivered the most satisfying line of her life. You made your choice years ago. You chose him. So let him bail you out. And with that, she hung up and blocked their numbers for good. Wow. Just wow. Can you imagine the audacity? To literally steal your child's future, a future their own grandmother set up for them, and then show up years later with your hand out? The entitlement is just breathtaking. What makes this so good is that the revenge wasn't loud or flashy. It was cold. It was simple. And it was her throwing their own heartless logic right back in their faces. She didn't just get financial justice. She got verbal justice, using the exact words they used to crush her, to crush their hopes. That is karma in its purest form. This is just wild, right? If you live for seeing entitled people finally get what's coming to them, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next story. Because trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. Story 2. The Graduation Demolition. Okay, if you thought that was brutal, wait until you hear this. We're shifting from financial ruin to absolute public humiliation. This story comes from a Redditor who was the classic scapegoat child, forced to live in the shadow of the golden child sibling. From the time they were young, the OP was branded the disappointment, while their younger sister was the miracle. No achievement was ever good enough. They get straight A's? The parents say, "That's nice, but your sister won an art contest." They land the lead in the school play? The parents don't even bother to show up. Their entire life was just a constant fight for a single scrap of approval that never, ever came. This went on for years, but the OP learned to survive. They channeled all that frustration into their schoolwork, not for their parents anymore, but for themselves. They were going to build a future so bright that they'd never need their family for a single thing. And all that hard work paid off when they were named valedictorian of their high school class. This should have been their moment. But for their parents, it was just another chance to make it all about their sister. At the graduation dinner, instead of congratulating the OP, their father made a joke during his toast about how their sister was the real star and that the OP's success was probably just a fluke. That was the last straw. The OP had a generic, boring speech written about following your dreams. After that dinner, they stayed up all night rewriting every single word. This was their one shot on a stage, with a microphone, in front of the whole town. They were going to use it. The next day at graduation, they walk up to the podium, heart pounding. They start with the usual stuff, thanking the teachers and congratulating their classmates. Then they look right at their parents sitting in the front row, and the whole energy of the speech changes. They start talking about resilience. They say, "Resilience is something you learn when you're taught from a young age that your achievements don't really matter. It's a skill you develop when you have to find validation from inside yourself, because you're definitely not getting it from home." A murmur goes through the crowd. People are confused but hooked. The OP's voice gets stronger. "I learned to be independent not because I wanted to, but because I was forced to. And for that, I want to thank my parents. By showing me exactly what a total lack of support looks like, you taught me how to be my own biggest champion. By constantly showing me who you favored, you taught me to favor my own future." You could have heard a pin drop. Her parents' proud smiles had completely frozen and were melting into pure horror. Their dad even started to stand up, like he was going to stop them. But their mom yanked him back into his seat. The OP didn't miss a beat. They ended their speech by saying, "So to all my fellow graduates, if you ever feel overlooked or underestimated, remember this. Your worth is not decided by someone else's applause. Go build a life so full and happy that their silence becomes completely irrelevant." The students and other parents, who had seen how this family operated for years, jumped to their feet in a standing ovation. The OP's parents were absolutely humiliated. They grabbed their golden child and practically sprinted out of the auditorium without even waiting for the ceremony to end. The OP was mobbed by friends and teachers, congratulating them not just for the grades, but for their courage. For the first time in their life, they felt truly seen. Now that is how you get revenge. It's poetic. This person didn't have to yell or cause a scene. They used their intelligence, the very thing their parents ignored, to expose them in the most articulate and devastating way. They took the language of an inspirational speech and turned it into a weapon. And the best part? They didn't have to lie or exaggerate. They just told the truth so plainly that nobody could ignore it. The parents weren't just embarrassed. Their years of emotional neglect were put on blast for the entire community to witness. That isn't just revenge, that's liberation. And that's a wrap on today's dose of family insanity. It's truly mind-blowing what some parents think they can get away with. But it's even better when their own kids are the ones who serve them the karma they've had coming for years. These stories are living proof that you can only push someone so far before they finally push back. So I have to ask you, what would you have done? Would you have sued your parents for that college fund, or would you have delivered that killer graduation speech? Let me know in the comments which story hit the hardest for you. As always, thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to destroy that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.